If you're listening to this, you've probably set a big goal, a career shift, a health overhaul, maybe a new creative thing.
And then watch the energy just drain out of it.
Exactly. After just a few weeks, we all chase that feeling of being driven, but the effort itself feels like the problem. We focus on willpower, and that approach is, well, it's just destined to fail.
Because it's targeting the wrong layer of reality.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So today we're moving entirely beyond the idea of just trying harder. The material you shared outlines a pretty profound shift.
A huge shift.
Yeah. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore 7 kind of lesser-known psychological ideas about personal change. It's all about a first-order transformation.
And what does that mean, first order?
It means that real, lasting change doesn't start with what you do. It starts with understanding what you unconsciously want and, who you fundamentally are.
And this isn't just passive learning. The material builds up to this comprehensive protocol.
A very structured one.
Right. Designed to dig deep into your psyche, uncover those hidden motives, and basically reset your life's operating system. They suggest dedicating a full focused day to it.
It's a total life trajectory reset. And they claim it delivers these, long-lasting effects.
It sounds intense.
It is intense.
Yeah.
But it's necessary. And to understand why it works, we have to start at the foundation, which for most people is, well, it's rotting.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first core idea is, I think, the absolute gut punch of this entire deep dive.
I agree.
Identity is the first order change. The reason you aren't where you want to be is because fundamentally you aren't the person who would be there.
And that is the critical distinction. It's first order versus second order change. We are obsessed with second order change.
Like trying a new calendar system, drinking less coffee, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Adjusting our actions. But the source material argues this is the least important part of success because it never touches the core architecture of the self.
Right. You can force yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. for a week, maybe. But if you don't actually become a 5 a.m. person, you just revert.
Instantly.
It's like painting over a cracking foundation. The real change, the first order change, is changing who you are so that the right behavior is just natural. It's a byproduct.
Think about that high-performing CEO or, that dedicated marathon runner you admire. Does the CEO have to grind to read business journals? Or does the runner have to force themselves to go for a run?
No, probably not. For them, the grind would be doing the opposite.
Exactly. The CEO would hate wasting an hour watching TV. The runner would feel terrible being sedentary. It's not an effort for them. It's just who they are.
They actually get satisfaction from it.
Yes. And the key insight here is that if you want a specific outcome, you have to adopt the lifestyle that creates it long before you get there. It has to be a permanent shift for life.
Otherwise, you just revert.
You revert. The identity defense mechanisms we'll talk about will pull you right back. And this changes the whole emotional landscape of effort. When you truly change the old habits, they become repulsive.
Not just things you shouldn't do.
No, they become disgusting. Because you have this profound visceral awareness of the kind of diminished life those actions compound into.
That connection between actions and outcome, that leads us right to core idea number 2, which really forces you to question your own motives.
It does.
Behavior is goal-oriented. You aren't where you want to be because on some unconscious level, you don't want to be there.
And this is where we get into teleology. It's the psychological principle that all human behavior is directed towards some future goal, even if you're not aware of it.
Even if it's unconscious?
Yes. Alfred Adler had that great quote, "Trust only movement. Life happens at the level of events, not of words."
I love that. So if you say you want financial independence, but your movement is 8 hours of gaming,
The movement tells the real story.
the unconscious goal is definitely not financial independence.
Exactly. And even when we self-sabotage, we are still achieving a goal. Take procrastination.
Right.
It's usually not a failure of willpower. It's an attempt to achieve the unconscious goal of protection.
Protection from what?
From judgment, from critique, from potential failure. By delaying, you protect yourself from having to share the finished work. The hidden goal is psychological safety.
So someone who stays in a dead-end, miserable job, you're saying their action of staying is achieving a goal.
Yes, the conscious goal might be, I need to save money. But the unconscious goal, the one demonstrated by the action, is safety, predictability. It's also maintaining an excuse.
An excuse.
By staying small and predictable, they avoid the ultimate threat, looking like a failure after trying and failing at something bigger. The job is literally an excuse for not achieving more.
Wow. That reframes everything.
Oh,
So the key takeaway is that real change means changing your goal.
your fundamental goals.
Yep.
And a goal in this context isn't a finish line. It's a projection into the future that acts as a lens of perception. If your goal is safety, your lens only sees threats. If your goal is excellence, your lens notices opportunities, mentors, resources. You have to change the lens to see a different world.
And we hang on to those old, fogged-up lenses because of core idea number 3, the identity defense mechanism. We're literally afraid to become the person who achieves the goal.
Yes, because it threatens our current, comfortable identity. It's all driven by our need for psychological consistency. Maxwell Maltz called it psycho-cybernetics. He said an idea, once you really believe it, has the power of a hypnotist's words.
Like, I am not a lucky person, or I am always disorganized.
And that belief just runs your life like a command. The source material breaks down how this identity forms in an 8-step conditioning cycle.
So it starts with a loop.
A basic loop. Step 1, you get a goal. That becomes your lens. Step 2, you notice stuff relevant to the goal. 3 and 4, you act. You get feedback. You repeat this until step 5, the action is automatic. Yeah. That's conditioning.
So whether I'm efficiently saving money or efficiently procrastinating on Netflix every night, that behavior is being conditioned.
Yes. And step 6 is the critical leap. The behavior becomes part of your identity. I am the type of person who...
It's a struggling artist or is always busy.
Exactly. And then comes step 7. You automatically defend that identity to maintain consistency. It is psychologically easier to sabotage a good thing than to change who you believe you are.
And step 8, that defended identity shapes your new goals, and the whole cycle starts over.
And the power of this defense is that when your self-concept is threatened, your body registers it as a physical threat. It triggers fight or flight.
We see that with politics for sure. Someone challenges your beliefs, and it feels like a personal attack.
But it happens in low-stakes life, too. Let's say you identify as disorganized. If someone offers you a great organizing system, you might feel this spike of anxiety, because accepting it means admitting that the identity you've held on to, the disorganized but creative mess, was a choice, a lie even. It was a shield, an excuse. Giving it up feels like exposing yourself to judgment. The mind rebels. That stress is the defense mechanism.
When we have to break it, which requires recognizing that the mind can evolve. That's core idea number 4, the evolutionary mindset.
Right. The mind isn't static. It moves through these predictable stages of complexity. You see it in the models like spiral dynamics or integral theory.
We don't need to go through all the stages, but let's touch on the big jumps. The lowest stages are about survival, right? Impulsive or self-protective.
Yeah, the world is dangerous, and the goal is just safety or immediate gratification. A critical jump for most people is getting out of the conformist stage.
That's where the group's rules feel like absolute reality.
Exactly. The goal is just to belong. You can't even imagine voting differently than your family or friends.
The next stage, self-aware, that's where the pain starts.
It can be. That's when you notice your inner life doesn't match the outside. You realize the career track, the belief system, it was all built by someone else. And you don't really believe it anymore.
That creates a lot of dissonance.
And that dissonance drives you to the next stage. Conscientious, this is where you build your own operating system. You set your own principles, hold yourself accountable to internal standards. Sustainable success really starts here.
And the higher stages, like strategist, are where you can see how even your own principles are shaped by context, and you can start to question your own blind spots.
The goal isn't just to achieve an outcome. It's to expand your mind to a stage where that outcome becomes, well, inevitable. Which ties right into core idea 5. Intelligence is the art of steering.
Naval Ravikant had a great quote on this.
He did.
The only real test of intelligence is if you get what you want out of life. We're not talking about IQ scores here.
No, we're talking about efficacy. The word cybernetics actually comes from the Greek kybernetikos, which means to steer.
So an intelligent system is good at steering.
Exactly. It follows a simple loop. You have a goal, you act, you sense where you are, you compare that to the goal, and you act again based on that feedback. It's constant self-correction.
So high intelligence is the ability to just iterate and persist, to correct your course against the wind.
And low intelligence is the inability to learn from your mistakes. It's getting stuck in the same flawed pattern and quitting because you think the problem is a lack of effort, not a lack of strategy.
If you try the same diet 5 times and fail.
High intelligence doesn't tell you to try harder a 6th time. It tells you to stop, analyze the goal and the identity, and try a completely different approach. or maybe even change the goal.
So the path is to reject the known path, the identity you inherited, and dive into the unknown. You have to set new, higher goals.
Because those goals are the lines of code that determine how your mind operates. Which brings us to the blueprint for rewriting that code.
Right. The one-day transformation protocol. The material suggests successful transformation follows a pattern. First, dissonance.
Getting really fed up.
Second, uncertainty, which is the messy middle. And third, discovery, that feeling of overwhelming clarity.
And the goal of this protocol is to compress that timeline. It's not casual journaling. You need a dedicated day, pen, paper, and brutal honesty.
Okay, part one. Psychological excavation. This happens in the morning. And you start with the anti-vision, which seems counterintuitive.
You have to generate positive motivation from negative awareness. The pain of staying the same has to become sharper than the pain of changing.
So the questions are designed to do that. Like, what's the dull, persistent dissatisfaction you've learned to tolerate, and the really painful one?
What truth about your current life would be genuinely unbearable to admit to someone you deeply respect? That one gets to the core of your identity defense.
Then you have to project that forward. The 510-year trajectory. Describe an average Tuesday in 5 years if nothing changes. Then 10 years. What opportunities are gone forever? Who gave up on you?
You have to feel the cost. And the last part of this excavation uncovers the cost of your identity protection.
What identity would you have to give up to actually change? And what is the most embarrassing reason you haven't changed yet? These are designed to just create maximum dissonance.
Once that deep disease is there, you pit it to the minimum viable vision. Forget practicality. Describe an ideal Tuesday in 3 years.
Then you write the new identity statement. I am the type of person who, and crucially, you figure out one small thing that person would do this week.
It links the huge vision back to immediate action. Then comes part 2, interrupting autopilot. This happens all day. You have to consciously force a pattern break.
So you schedule, what, 6 specific questions as random reminders on your phone?
Yeah, and like 11 a.m., 1.3, 3.1 a.m. finest, and so on, they prevent you from slipping back into unconscious conditioning.
Questions like, am I moving toward the life I hate or the life I want?
Or, what decision did I just make out of identity protection rather than genuine desire?
Yeah.
They force you to keep steering.
Okay, then part 3, synthesizing insight. This is in the evening.
The integration phase. You start by asking, what feels most true about why I've been stuck? And what is the actual enemy, the internal pattern?
And finally, you create lenses, not finish lines. We know now that goals are just projections that determine how we see.
Right, so you need 3 types of lenses. The 1-year lens is what concrete thing would show you that you definitively broke the old pattern. That's your mission statement.
Then the 1-month lens. What needs to be true for that 1-year lens to stay possible? This is your focused project right now.
And the daily lens dictates 2 or 3 actions you can time block for tomorrow that the new you would just do. They're non-optional.
This whole framework brings us to the final core idea, the flow state structure. You take all these insights and organize them into a system that actually makes life enjoyable.
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi defined flow as that optimal experience where your skills perfectly match a challenge. This protocol creates the perfect conditions for that.
The source outlines 6 components to create this force field that guards your mind.
They are 1, the anti-vision, which is your motivation.
Yeah.
2, the vision, your long-term ideal. 3, the 1-year goal, your core mission.
4, the 1-month project for skill acquisition. 5, the daily levers, those small tasks. And 6, constraints.
The constraints are what you're not willing to sacrifice. They force creativity.
When you organize your life this way, you stop seeing it as just a bunch of random tasks.
And you start seeing it as a video game.
A video game.
Your vision is how you win. Your anti-vision is what happens if you lose.
Your 1-year goal is the main mission. The 1-month project is the boss fight.
The daily levers are your quests, and the constraints are the rules of the game.
Playing this game where progress is clear and feedback is constant, that's what leads to obsession, enjoyment, and flow.
And the more you play, the stronger that force field gets until the system isn't something you do anymore. It just becomes who you are.
So we've really done a deep dive here into shifting from second-order actions to first-order identity change, and we've walked through the protocol to uncover those unconscious goals running the show.
The key takeaway is that change is an act of psychological steering.
And to remember that goals aren't finish lines. They're just lenses that direct your perception. Enjoyment isn't found at some mythical endpoint. It's found in the progress itself.
In the daily quest of steering, this deep dive showed us how our goals literally determine how we see the world. They're the operating system for our reality. So the question for you to consider now is this.
If your current goals were secretly assigned to you by culture or family or conditioning like hidden lines of code you never authorized, what is the single line of code you will intentionally reject and rewrite first?